Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today I'm giving up my Read What You Own challenge. So I said in my weekly wrap-up video this week that I was going to do an update on my Read What You Own challenge. And that update was intended to be, I've got to about 60 books, it's going okay-ish. Things have escalated since then and I've decided to just bin it. I've decided I'm not enjoying it enough anymore to continue with it. If you don't know, the Read What You Own challenge is something I do every year where I read 100 books I already own before I buy any new books. And loads of other people take part as well. And in the past, I've found it quite a satisfying and definitely a useful way to kind of pause in my book buying and just take stock of what I've already got and enjoy the books I already have. So yeah, as I say, in the past, I found it interesting and enjoyable and worthwhile. This time round, for a variety of reasons, I'm just not enjoying it as much. And if I'm honest, when it came to November the 5th, which is when we traditionally start the Read What You Own challenge, when it came to November the 5th this year, I was almost tempted not to do it at all. I was tempted to say, I'm just not going to do it this year. I'm just not feeling it. And with the benefit of hindsight, I probably should have done that because I've got to 61 books and I've decided I just haven't got another 39 books in me. I just can't be bothered, frankly, to continue with it. And that is for a variety of reasons. I've got lots of stuff going on outside of BookTube that is kind of adding a bit of additional stress to my life. And so book buying, becomes a nice relaxing outlet sometimes, doesn't it? I don't know if it's necessarily a healthy outlet, but it is a way just to take your mind off things, just to de-stress, just to treat yourself and enjoy life a little bit. Sometimes doing something like the Read What You Own challenge can almost feel a little bit punitive, and it definitely got to that point with me. What I would say is last time when I did the challenge, when I did it last year, the first time round, because I did it twice last year, I was super focused. So I'm filming this on the 16th of March. I chose to bin it yesterday, the 15th of March. Last year I'd finished it. I'd read 100 books starting at the same point, so starting on the 5th of November. I'd finished all 100 books by the end of January. So I really powered through it last year. And the reason I managed to power through it was I'd really set myself up for success. So I'd planned things in advance. I had a list of books that I thought would be, entertaining and worthwhile books to read, but, shorter reads. And I just managed to power through it. This time round, I haven't managed to do that. And I've ended up reading a load of books, largely books that had been sent in to me for review, but also some that were sent to me as gifts. I ended up reading quite a few of those, 17 of those this year, which meant whilst I've read 61 books for the Read What You Own challenge, I've actually read whatever that is, 78 books since the 5th of November. So it's just felt to me like it's dragging on. It's felt like it's taking too long. And as I said, I've got some stresses going on outside of BookTube that just meant it probably, it felt like the right time to just make the decision to say I'm not going to continue with it this year. Now, there was one or two, I guess, particular tipping points, two straws that broke the camel's back in terms of my desire to keep going with it. So let me quickly tell you what those were. So the first was a book that I had had a save search on eBay for absolutely ages, suddenly popped up in the save search. And this is, not, if I'm honest, not necessarily a book I desperately want. It's not part of a series I'm reading or anything like that, but it's a book I remember seeing on Instagram or somewhere like that, I think, years ago, like a few years ago, and when that happens, when I see a book that intrigues me, I just chuck an eBay save search on it if it's one that I can't get hold of cheaply and easily. So this is a book called The Big Needle. I think it was also published under the title The Big Apple by an author called Simon Miles. And that's Simon with a Y and Miles with a Y for some reason. That is a pseudonym. The real author of this book is Ken Follett. So the well-known author of, kind of spy thrillers and things like that, as well as huge historical epics. So I actually read a Ken Follett book as part of my Read What You Own challenge this year. I read Eye of the Needle, which I really enjoyed. So this is a very early Ken Follett book. It's about the first in a trilogy, I believe, about a about a businessman turned detective called Apples Carstairs, which is a fantastic name. These books are supposed to be full of sex and violence, very sleazy, quite different, I think, from Ken Follett's, more recent stuff. But it's a book that really appealed to me. I just really want to read it. I really want to see what it's about, and it doesn't show up that often. Now, I don't know which cover I'm going to get. I suspect that the edition I've bought, which didn't have a cover in the eBay listing, is going to be a version that was reprinted in the States under Ken Follett's name after he became more successful. So I suspect that's the edition I'm going to get, but I just really want to read it. So that was straw one on the camel's back. Straw two was the fact that Juan Valencia from the channel Plagued by Visions has just published his new anthology, Look at Our Holes, which is a fantastic title, which is an anthology of kind of weird and horror type fiction. I think all the proceeds from it go to an indigenous Mexican community. So I'll leave a link to the listing on Amazon for it. Well worth supporting if you like the sound of the book, and it does sound fantastic. So I think Juan has contributed one story, but there are stories from a load of different people in it, including Alyssa Nutting, author of the book Tampa, which I've talked about on the channel, and including a couple of other booktubers as well. So Alex from the channel The Bookubus and MJ from the channel Reading This Life. So I've been waiting for this book since Juan announced it. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I really wanted to support him and all the other authors, so I just had to buy it. So I could have waited. I probably couldn't have waited on the Simon Miles book. I suspect that would have gone, and I would have had to wait ages and ages for another copy to show up on eBay. I definitely could have waited for Look at Our Hole, so that's going to be available for a while. So I think those two books I'm kind of using as a bit of an excuse because I just wasn't feeling the challenge anymore. And it's interesting because the last few times I've done it, it's been, even like the times before last year when I was super organised, the previous times I've just found it, relatively easy and enjoyable as well. This time I just wasn't feeling it. I do feel a bit of, a bit of additional pressure, I suppose, to continue with it because of the fact that I created it and other people are doing it, but I decided this just wasn't the year for me. So I'm bidding it off this year. I will probably try it again next year, but yeah, I'm just giving myself a break, and I think sometimes we all need to do that. So what have I bought since then? So since yesterday when I decided to give up the challenge, I have bought those two books I talked about. I've also bought just now, so I've just been on the train, and on the way back from the station I passed a supermarket that has a fantastic little charity bookstall that always has some gems. So I bought 6 books from there. I'm going to be really cheeky and not show you what they are because I will do a book haul fairly soon where I'm going to show them, but 6 tatty old paperbacks, all of which look absolutely wonderful. 50p each, can't go wrong. I just couldn't resist them. So I bought those, and I've also bought from Humble Bundle a collection of Dragonlance books. So people who watch the channel will know that I don't consider myself to be a fan of fantasy books. But I remember these Dragonlance books coming out in the 80s when I was at school. I think it was like late 80s, the first ones, and people like really enjoying them. They've got a very good reputation. The bundle was, I think, 26 books or something like that for about 15 quid. And again, I fancy, whilst I say I don't like fantasy, I enjoy trying things I don't like every so often. So I'm going to give these a try, and if I like the first one, then hey, I've got 25 more. So yes, that is something else I've bought since then. There's a few other books I do quite like the look of at the moment that I will probably pick up at some point. But yeah, for now I'm going to try and restrain myself a little bit. Anyway, that's me done then on the Read What You Own challenge. If you're taking part in it, do let me know how it's going for you. Hopefully it's going a bit better than it ended up going for me. But yeah, more power to you if you're carrying on with it. Anyway, I will leave it there and say, as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.